Welcome to the Woo and the Do podcast with me, your host, Christine Michelle. And I am so excited about this next episode. This is from an Instagram live that I had with Sam Altieri, my girl. It is going to be called Move Your Ass and Make Bank. In this episode, we are jamming and we are talking about all of the juicy things moving, why it's important to take action, what it has looked like for us in our businesses, and how we balance movement with flow and intuition and all of those juicy things. Let me tell you a little bit more about Sam. Sam is a speaker, empowerment coach, wealth activator, business mentor, and she, like me, is also a psychic channel, which means that we can look directly into your soul and really call forth exactly what you get to be doing and creating in your life. And I love, 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 love that. Sam is a top podcaster who focuses on helping entrepreneurs to rise into their fullest power and expression so that they can create more impact, more wealth with ease. I met Sam in person a couple of months ago, and we clicked like two sisters from another mister. I love her energy, and we align on so many aspects. So, listen to this amazing, fun podcast, leave a 5-star review, and definitely go listen to Sam's podcast. It is a top podcast. It is called The Sam Altieri Show. And also, I've connected her Instagram here as well in the show notes. So you can click on those so that you can just enter into Sam's world, the current, and everything else that she is doing. So check this out. It's such a good episode. I'm listening to it over and over again and laughing because we had so much fun. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Yay. Happy birthday to me. I am so excited for today. We are going to talk about moving your ass and making millions while we celebrate my birthday. So excited for us. Well, first, let me. Okay, guys. Sam Altieri is like the most amazing woman in the world. We have been a part of a mastermind group together. We connected in person in Florida. We had so much fun. My sister and I were in Sarasota, right? That was Sarasota where oh my God, it feels so long ago, but it was just like a few weeks ago. And we just vibe. Like we are the same vibe. She is a multimillionaire, most amazing woman. She has created this podcast that's out of this world. She is just, oh my God, can you just tell everybody all of your juicy goodness so that they can all love you as much as I do?
Oh my God. I love you. I mean, honestly, I feel like I just get paid to just have a shit ton of fun and remind my clients who the fuck they are and like hype them up and activate them and be like, yo, bitch, let's go. Like get out of your head and go do the thing and act like the 7-figure CEO that you are and that you know yourself to be. Let's go. And then they're like, let's do it. And then they do the thing.
Yes. Yes, and what's so beautiful is that both Sam and I are both psychic. We are intuitive goddesses, and we infuse that in our business. And I had a session with Sam, and it was so many lights shining back to be like, remember this, it's this, like this is it. And it hyped me up to like an amazing level. And it also like she gave me the idea for the master class. Well, now I made it. Oh, I gotta tell you, Sam. So we changed it from a master class. It's a whole mastermind experience. So I'm adding the chat with it. It's so that people can just really experience like all of the juiciness in this world, right? All of me. So it's 5 days. We're gonna have 3 live like channeling sessions where I'm like teaching about $10 million me. Here we go. And then throughout that, right, for the 3 days, and then 2 more days, it's gonna be the chat where they can ask the questions, ask me for riffs, like do all the things. So it's gonna be so good. But $10 million me was her idea because I was talking about really tapping into $10 million me. She's like, tell everybody about it. I was like, yeah.
Thing and you're like, okay, that is one of my superpowers. I will say is that I feel like I can just someone's talking and I can be like, content idea, masterclass idea, program name. Oh my God, yes. Like, it's like you have the genius in you, but it's like, imagine having like a videographer or like someone to capture all the genius that comes out of your mouth. Like, that's basically what our session was. I was like, yep, 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 yep. And you're like, oh my God.
It's so good. So good. So today, right, we're about to like blow you guys up. We're about to make your head understand what you need to do to make the millions like Sam has. Like, we are about to tell you exactly what's up. Are you ready?
I think you guys need a fan. I think you need some ice cubes because it's about to get hot in here. And you're going to have some butt sweat and you're going to have some kitty sweat and you're going to just be wet, you
Yes.
know? Like, you know, the way.
And those of you, I mean, there's going to be some flip flop slaps up in here. Some chancletas are going to be like knocking you all up the head because we are really about to lay down the law and like tell you guys the difference. So, what started this conversation off was I was talking to Sam and I was talking about how I started this from what 20 plus years of corporate experience. So, when you come from corporate, like I'm used to having strategy and I was one of those rare people in corporate that could do the creative and could do the strategy, the woo plus the do girl. That's who I am. So then I float into this beautiful world of spiritual entrepreneurship. And it was all about like, put on your dress, be feminine and flowy, and you're too masculine, or you're too this, or you're too that. And I was like, oh, okay. So I started to lose all of my strategy. I started to lose the do part of my woo. And that resulted in bankruptcy. That resulted in me not making any money. My clients were flying because I still was teaching them what I knew was right, but I stopped. And so we were talking about like what it takes. And that's where we came up with move your ass to make millions.
Dude, I can relate on so many levels. I mean, I think that though I haven't gone into bankruptcy, I basically bankrupted my own business in 2022 because of the same thing. I was like so in the feminine of like, yeah, just like sit back and like just manifest it and like touch myself and like you know, like take a wand and like just like masturbate to money and like it will come. I'm like I like wanted to get behind it because I think there's a part of our psyche that's like, what if I don't have to do the work, but I can have all the money, right? And I think that's like a real fantasy for some people. I think it's a fantasy for all people. And so I was like, oh, yes, this has been the missing piece. And I remember Kurt, my fiance, was like, I don't know what you've been doing lately, but I don't think it's working. I'm like, and he's like, you know, he's like pretty masculine dude. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, you're so right. I'm like, I've invested all this money for just hype and bullshit. Like, sorry, that's not actually going to move your business ahead. You need strategy. You need action. You need to think from the $10 million you. You need to think from that future version of you and take action like her and think like her and feel like her. And when all these pieces started clicking for me and I started like actually developing a healthy relationship with the masculine again, it was like the harmony of both. I'm like, oh my God. And then that's when I started creating the consistent, I just recorded a podcast on this, the consistent 30 to 50. That's where we're at right now, like 30 to $50,000 consistent months. And I am loving the consistency. Like, I don't even, like, yes, I'm growing, but I want to build the consistent baseline to show myself I can continue to do this and hold it. And I think a lot of people just see these numbers like up, 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 and it creates so much instability. I'm like, I don't want to build my business that way. I actually want to build it, hold it, feel safe and secure by it, and then grow and like get the body on board, you know? But it's not just sit back, let me fondle myself to millions. It's move your ass, get the fuck up, feel from the future self and take action from her, right? Like that's what it is. And I think you and I are so much in that like identity work of like, who are you being in every day? Are you showing up like, I don't know what I'm doing? Or are you showing up like, well, actually, I've decided that I'm no longer available for the story I don't know. Or I'm no longer available for the story of I'm struggling. No, break up with that shit, you know? And like show up, and act like her now.
Exactly. And what is okay, what happened when the whole feminine thing took off? It was because yes, there were some people that were very to the left, right? Very masculine, very like not tapping into their bodies, not listening to, that. So you did it feels like it was so far left, it had to go so far right to come back into the middle. And what's where it works is where it's in harmony, where you're in that middle. I was listening to one of my clients, she sent me the most beautiful review, like testimonial about her experience. And she was one of those people that was very masculine, very in her ego, very in her head. And so what we did was bring her back to the middle, not take her and fly her off into the, like, playing with her wand all day and doing nothing. No, we had to bring her back to the middle because there's a place for a healthy masculine and a place for healthy feminine. And that's where you and I like align, because it really truly is about, like you said, feeling it, being that person in that next level, being that view, like that, taking the steps in that action. But both exist at the same time. And what we were, what we're taught is like you're either masculine or either feminine. They're all existing simultaneously. Maybe your brain can't understand that because we're so like, in this 3D world. But when you're even moving and you're taking the action, there's still that feminine creativity that's supporting it. And when we can know that it gets to work together, then that's when you start to see the results, like the results that you're seeing, like you're talking about 8, like consistent, those months, like when you start to have that monthly recurring revenue, and you always know that that's what's just happening, that's just my life, that's just the way it is. That's when you build on top of it what I call the magic money. Magic money just starts to and you do start to go up really fast, but it's not because you're pushing, it's because you're so comfortable and you're so like safe and you're feeling so secure. Then it's like the money goes like my client, she was like tapping in, and she went from $200 days, we went to $1,000 days to $2,000 days, and then it totally skipped over 3,000, went to 4,000, and now 5,000. And it was because she just the magic money. And she's like, I don't even know where all these people are coming from. She's like, I have no clue. And I said, it's because you've grounded into this is just the way it gets to be, and you're working in harmony with both energies.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's the piece that like we get to revisit is the like the root chakra actually. It's like the identity is the root chakra, right? And it's like actually creating the safety first before you just rocket launch, you know? And like I think for me this year has been, or even last year and this year has been that of like actually like creating that solid foundation so that when we build, it's solid. Not we're not building on like a house of cards. And I've built my business before that way. I was just like, how fast can we go? Boom, boom, boom. But like, yeah, this root, right? Of like, okay, what are your values? Like, what do you care about? Like, who do you want to be? How are you showing up? Because it has to feel authentic to us for us to want to do it, you know? And even today, it's so funny, like, to contextualize this. So I've shared this, I think I shared this with you, but like, we've created, I think, like about $800,000 from the podcast and through podcasting, my podcast and being on other people's podcasts. And so, and my clients are like, how did you do it? Like, how did that happen? And I've had people ask that. And so I'm like, okay, I want to teach something. Right. And that's the only thing I knew. I just want to teach something. And so the masculine energy wanted to go launch the thing like that, right? Like immediately, like this is a thing. But I didn't yet, my feminine didn't yet know how it wanted to be expressed. It was like, ooh, do I want it to be a 10-day challenge? Do I want it to be a class? Do I want it to be a course? What do I want it to be, right? And so me forcing my brain to try, like trying to force my masculine to figure it out is not the answer. And so actually what I had to do is create space for the creativity and the feminine and like the being, right? To drop in, because actually I was like, originally it was going to be a 30-day challenge. And then my energy wasn't behind it. You know, I was like, no, that actually feels really tiring. I don't really like long things. I like short and potent. So, okay, that's not going to work. And then I'm like, but I don't feel like I want it to be a challenge either because I want to go deep and I feel like I want to slide down, you know? So I'm like, So I'm feeling. And then I was messaging with one of my mentors and I was like, we were talking and she's like, I feel like maybe you do just like a live masterclass. Those work so well for you. And I'm like, oh yeah, duh. Like, and then immediately my energy was like, yes, like I'm so excited, right? And so then the excitement was the confirmation that the energy was behind it, and then I could take the action. But I think a lot of people do one of two things. They try to just take action from head. It's not working. And they don't check in with the body. They don't check in with the intuition. Does this excite me? Does this light me up? Does this fire me up? And they just are like, well, it should work because it worked for this person or blah blah blah, or it used to work but maybe you don't want to do that anymore. And then or the opposite, where they basically do the reverse, where they're just in the go 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 and they don't take a second to check in, you know. And so I feel like it's the energy first. It's the, does this light me up? Like, what actually feels really exciting? What can I get behind fully? And then action from that place, rather than just action. Because more action actually doesn't get you there. It's alignment first and then action, or intention and energy first and then action. And I feel like that's been the practice that I personally have been working on refining, because it works. When I fully can get behind it, I'm like, oh yes, that is it. Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yes, I love that. You know what I call it? I call it being moved. So it's like, yes, we're in movement, but when we're being moved, right? You're being moved by God, universe, sugar daddy within you. You're being moved by the idea. You're being moved. You're being, the movement happens because you can't not move. You can't not do it, right? And so that's when action, like Jessica says, creating safety is so key. And the safety really comes from trusting that inner knowing, like, oh yes, this is the next thing. So like when we were talking about that $10 million me master, it was like, yeah, that's gonna be good. And so as I ruminated on it and started creating it, because I do, like, when I'm excited, it's important to take the action and move. And what a lot of you do is you get excited about something, but then you sit on it and you let the action and the excitement just wane and go away. But if you would have moved with that excitement, moved with that energy, it would build and it would create momentum. And then it can build into even new ideas. So instead of like the masterclass, it became the mastermind. And I was like, oh, yeah, so it just got more and more exciting because I allowed that to be moved. I allowed myself to be moved,
Yes. I
you
love this.
know?
Yeah, it's like surfing, you know? It's like catching the wave. Like, it's like we got, kind of go with the timing. Like, there's always the ebbs and the flow, and some waves are bigger than others, right? And when we can catch the wave and we're riding it, and then we're like, yo, yes, it's like that it's like orgasm actually, but it's like same thing, right? It's like the, you're riding it, you're like, yes, and then it's like, right? But if we're like trying to take our surfboard and go upstream, or like, we gotta go with the flow and not force it, because like, knowing the way the ocean works, there's always waves coming in and crashing, always. Like, there's a forever amount of waves crashing, and when we remember that, sometimes I think we forget, we're gonna run out of ideas, right? We're actually, they're always coming, but we got to relax, and trust them. And as somebody personally, just like my background, like I was very disembodied. Like, I was very disconnected from my body. I had an eating disorder. I went through a lot of self hate. I was working my body into the ground in the gym. Like, I was just so disconnected from what I actually needed. And so I think like, before we can have the harmonious relationship in the business, it's like, can we come back to the place of harmonious relationship with self and body, right? Because when you actually can feel things in your body, then you can be moved. But like,
Yes.
a lot of people, a lot of women, and myself included, were so disconnected and so disembodied. Like, we were living from the head up, taking all the action, wondering why it's not working. It's because we're disconnected from our sacral and our heart. But that's our power, especially as women. That's why we can do less but create more. And so I think sometimes we forget that. When you come back to that, and when our clients come back to that, they're like, "Oh my god," But that is actually our magic. Like, that's our feminine magic. Is like, it's not about doing more, though doing is great if you feel moved to do, but it is about riding the wave and then catching the wave and being like, this is the fucking wave,
Yes.
you know?
Exactly. And one of the biggest things that I've been talking about in my mastermind too, there's a also a piece where we have, especially as women, we've been frozen because we don't trust ourselves. And so when the times when we should have moved or we know we should have moved, we don't, right? And so we get these amazing ideas and then we just sit with them and we don't allow that inspiration, we don't allow that to move us. And so one of the things that we have done is just move, like just get up and go, because just even breaking free from the freeze will allow you to get back into the motion. So like when I loved your surfing example, because if you miss the wave, then you get prepared, right, for that new wave to come, and you're looking behind you so that you can catch it and allow yourself to ride. But if you just freeze and then just like go back to the beach and like quit and decide like I don't want to, I didn't go, I don't know, then you won't catch any waves. And so sometimes the action that you, when you move from your head, let's say you're like, because let's just talk to some people that you're frozen and you haven't been moving because you've been sitting in the feminine world. This is what I had to do. I had to just get up and move. I had to do what I logically knew was the next step just to even get back into motion and start trusting myself, so that then I could start listening, closing my eyes, listening, getting with my heart and being like, what excites me, what gets me there, what really like gives me life. And then I could actually listen. But when I was like just frozen and just, laying in the bed or leaning back and playing with myself and all that kind of stuff, when I was doing that and not moving, it was just hard, like nothing was happening. So then when I just even said logically, okay, what's the next thing that I could do, and just took the first logical step, it's like you broke free and like everything opened up, and I was like, oh, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this. And then it also started to open up some trust for myself and started to allow myself to be moved instead of having to force. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I love this because it's like, I, I think at the core, if if we aren't doing, like, we can tell ourselves mentally like, oh, I'm just relaxing and then, but I don't think it really feels good to do that for too long. It doesn't. When you really tune in, it doesn't. And so, like, I taught a program inside of the current, my this is kind of my all access passive mastermind for women. It was called Momentum, and it's all about stacking little daily actions, right? And how it creates this, like, oh my god, like there's this life force energy, and you keep building and your vibe gets higher and higher because there's more self-trust and there's more confidence and there's more, oh my god, it's working, or right. And so then we have more and more belief, and we have more and more ooh 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 ooh, right. And then our kind of life force energy is flowing more. But we named this live Move Your Ass and Make Millions, right? And I think part of the action piece is also the movement piece, like the actual physical movement piece. Not just movement in your business, but movement in your body, because we are women and we feel a lot of things. And when we hold all the emotions, that literally weighs us down, and then that keeps us heavy, and then we don't take action, right? And so actually, in order to to be in motion, energy in motion, we need to move the emotions so that we're clear and we can actually receive the guidance and catch the waves, right? And then be moved by wave to take then action, right? And so, like, I think a lot of women don't have, like, aren't doing that. They're not doing that. They're sitting, they're not moving, they're not actually allowing themselves to feel. They're kind of shaming themselves for not like for feeling. They're wondering, why am I feeling this way, instead of just feeling it, so that they can be a clear channel and then catch the wave and get on the surfboard and take the idea and make the money, you know? So
Yes.
it's like the movement, the emotions, the wave catching, and then the being moved by the water.
Yes. It is. It's so true. The big piece I call, there's a big piece of my business. I call it manifestation in motion, because when I found that I had the biggest quantum leaps, or when I found that I had the biggest things that manifested in my world, like for example, I call it my Sex in the City life. I manifested actually moving to New York and living on the same block as Sarah Jessica Parker and Matthew Broderick. Like I
I
manifested that. But how did that happen? It's because I became a walking manifestation in motion while I was living in Atlanta working at Coca-Cola. I would walk every day down the street and imagine myself like being in New York City.
yeah,
And so I would also like go to brunch and I would drive to brunch and imagine myself in the cab, like going to brunch. I became the walking manifestation in motion of that energy, of that me. And so even now, like I walk outside and I imagine and through my body and feel being the $10 million me. I did that again when I was working a ton and I was exhausted and I just wanted to feel ease and I just wanted to feel like I used to say time abundance. That's what I called it when I was in corporate. And it was because I was creating this, this business while being an executive. So it's probably like 80 to 90 hours a week. I was exhausted. And so I decided I was like, I get to feel ease. And so as the walking manifestation in motion, every hour on the hour, I would go to the bathroom and I would sit for 2 minutes and I would just either walk around the stall or just feel, ease. And then I would be like, time abundance. I have more than enough time. I have so much time. And in 5 days, not only did I manifest 5 more vacation days, the VP came to me and he was like, we made a mistake. You're supposed to have more vacation. I was like, oh, thank you.
or
But then 2 more days after that, the next week, my whole schedule felt like my emails were all filed away. The people that reported into me were leaving at 5 o'clock. I myself was leaving at 5 o'clock. I hadn't had that happen in months and months and months. But that's how quickly it happens when you actually bring the frequency into your body and become the moving, living manifestation in motion.
that's like, I think that this is the core of all of the work. In the 8 years of me being an entrepreneur, and I know you've been in business world for so even longer than way longer than me. It is that. It's like so much a frequency. I taught a free class. You guys can download it on my page called Seven Figure Frequency, and it's this. It's being the end now, like acting like her, being like her, thinking like her, showing up like her, like not waiting for your external to change until you feel good about yourself, like feeling it now,
Yeah.
feeling it now, right now, being her now. Holy shit, how good does it feel to be her now? Going on riffs, going on rampages, going on tangents, like being in the energy of it's already fucking done. $10 million me, $10 million, I am $10 million me. Oh my god, it feels so good. Oh my god, so much overflow, so much money, so much impact. Like literally getting yourself into these rampagey states to then actually convince yourself that you're there. And then when you're there, you have different ideas and different things come through because you're operating from a way higher frequency than I'm making $2,000 in a month. Fuck me.
Right. You're operating from that timeline. You're actually operating and making decisions and making choices from that timeline, from that you. And when you are being that manifestation in motion, you are already connected to that. You don't need the byproducts of the physical things in your life to be like, oh, I have $10 million in the bank. Cool. Now I can be $10 million me. No, that's the byproduct. That comes and it comes so fast once you decide that's already me.
Yeah,
I always love to say, how are you already that person? Right. So I always say she uses the bathroom, she has period cramps, she still, maybe watches the whatever show you watch. There's no difference from you and that person. So why can't you just choose to be
yeah,
there now?
yeah. And she's not a better version. It's not, it's just she has different beliefs in her head. She's got
Yeah.
different, and she's acting and vibrating in a different frequency. She's in a fucking different timeline. She could still be watching the goddamn Bachelor if she wanted, but she is operating in a different frequency. And that is literally everything. Like without the frequency piece, we don't take the actual action from the place of the surf. We are in downward spirals instead of upward spirals. Like we're not open to possibility and potentiality. We're just looking at 3D linear consciousness, which is not, I mean, you can operate that way. I just don't. Like, I don't know why you would. Because why would you? Like, why would you operate in a linear 3D world if you could operate from the quantum? It doesn't make any sense, Like, It's like it doesn't make any sense to do one. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really meta, actually. Like, you're like, actually, it doesn't make
Right.
sense to do.
It's like, why?
It's like a decision to just be like, I'm no longer available for that. And I feel like we have to decide to let go first before we can then choose the new reality. You know, like we we actually have to say goodbye. It's kind of like a relationship, you know? If you want to call in your dream partner but you're still hanging on to your fuck boy over there, that's not going to work. You have to say goodbye
Yeah.
and you have to cut it off. It's the same actually with identity and like the next level and the next level results is you have to say goodbye. You have to literally break up with the old version of you, the old habits, beliefs, mindset, frequency, because you're entering a new relationship with the new version of you. And I think that people don't do that. Like, we actually need the line in the sand of like, all right, maybe we need to create like a little ceremony to ritualize this like death, because it is like business and wealth and money and all this is just a bunch of spiritual deaths and rebirths over and over and over and over and over again. And like, we have to be willing to let go, and that might mean people, and that might mean clients, and that might mean money. But every time I've done this, like, I closed my mastermind last year because I felt like it was time. Like, I don't know why, it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. See, this is where 3D doesn't work. It didn't make sense to close the mastermind because it was the highest revenue driver for the business. I closed the mastermind. The next month, we doubled our income. I wonder why,
Yeah.
right? But when things are no longer in alignment, they're actually sucking energy and they're bringing your frequency down rather than vice versa, right? And so we have to say goodbye. And I think a lot of people are holding on to things that are no longer serving them, offers, clients, people, relationships, money, that actually is not of the highest. And when we operate from the highest frequency of truth, like what is true, you will see things. You know?
Exactly. That is so true. And when it starts with the letting go of things. I know for me, like one of the big things, I had a beauty business before this. It was we did a coffee scrub. It was very successful. I mean, because I came from beauty and fashion. So that seemed to me to be logical, right? Right. And my sister loved it. She was a partner in it. And it was so hard to say, Kim, I am no longer really into this and going to be behind it. So I had to like have that hard conversation with her. But then once we closed it, then guess what? I got my first client and all the things like, oh my God, this was so long ago, like 2018 or something like that. But I got my first client and it was like, oh yeah, this is what I need to do. Me, it does start with letting go. Another thing I had to let go of was I needed to let go of the old identity of being like the corporate executive. And it's not that I got rid of it because now I can bring it in, but it's not the primary identity. So when I stepped into owning my own business and doing all of this, because I had been a corporate executive for 20 something years, so long ago, like everything people would ask, what do you do? And the first thing I would answer was corporate executive, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, no, I get to say I am a transformational, leader. I get to say that I'm the CEO of a, international transformation brand. That's the way I get to introduce myself. And so I had to let go of that being my primary identity and really tap into the identity of the one that I've been living for several years now. So you get to look at that's something that you can take away after watching this or listening to this and say, okay, what is something that I get to let go of to open up the space for me to receive the thing that I know that is unfolding in my life, like that is happening right now. It's right there. And there's just one thing that you could just be like, okay, I've been holding on to this just because it felt right, just because I'm used to it, just because it felt safe, all of those things. Because once you do, skyrocket. It always happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just takes getting real with yourself. I think sometimes we don't even realize. It's like, have you ever been in a relationship with someone and you don't realize that they're like completely sucking your energy, or a friend even? And you're like, oh my God, that person was actually really not good for me. I didn't even realize it until I had this friend or until I had this partner. Sometimes we don't realize that. You know what I'm saying? And so I think just like be gentle with yourself. You have to give yourself grace. You have to give yourself compassion. Like, don't shame yourself or make yourself wrong. Just recognize, like, in order to go to the next level, some part of you and some part of your life will have to die. And I think you need to know that. That's the truth. And like, when you can be prepared for that and be like, you're right, there is shit that's gotta go. It could be habits, it could be patterns, it could be late night snacking, it could be the man, it could be some habit that you like. I don't know exactly what it is for you, but there's things right now that are holding you back from whatever that next iteration and that next frequency and that next timeline jump is. And so if it's a story you're telling yourself, recognize what's the story, and every time you see it in your mind, thank you for trying to keep me safe, I'm going to choose this new story, goodbye. And you just do that over and over and over again until that new neural pathway is formed, and you start to have higher and higher frequency beliefs, which then create higher and higher results, right? More and more money, more and more wealth, more and more impact, whatever the thing is. And it's really that, like, that is what quantum manifestation, which is what I teach, really is about. It's not about a linear ABD or ABD, ABCD step process, though there can be that. It's like, okay, here's how to teach a masterclass and do all the structure piece. But actually, behind all that, if we don't have this on board, then none of that shit matters, you know, because you're going to be telling yourself it's not going to work. So then when I give you the answer, you're not even going to implement it because you already have the belief that it's not going to work. So that's what you got to change, is how you see yourself, like your self-concept. And you and I have been like jamming on this so hard lately of like, how you see yourself is what happens. When you see yourself as the six-figure earner, even when you're not yet, when you see yourself as her, you show up like her, you take action like her, you collapse the distance between you and her, and you become her fast. When you see yourself as seven-figure, eight-figure, I'm starting to see myself as an eight-figure earner. What does that look like? Holy shit, right? What are the moves I get to make? That's a completely different ball game than even seven-figure or obviously
Yes.
six-figure. Completely different. So who am I being? How am I showing up? Where am I using my energy? Who am I hanging out with? What circles am I in? You know, who's my
It
mentor? All that.
it it also I love this because it also changes the types of decisions you make, and it also feeds how you create your business. So I'm tapping into, like I said, $10 million me, right? That eight-figure me. What would it look like? What does my business look like? Where does my time go? Like, who are the people supporting me? You just think a lot more differently. You're making choices not from, $50,000 a month me or whatever. You're not making your decisions from there. You're making your decisions from the woman who has 200, 300, $400,000 months, because you're like, okay, like, what would I like my time to be? Like, where would I like my energy to go? Is my business even capable of that? Have I set up an offer suite that could even do that? If I was quantum leaping and tapping into that, have I prepared myself, my nervous system, my business to hold that many people, to embrace that amount of impact? And it's similar to, and I'm going to bring you guys back to something that is totally not business, but it's a good example, or it's not an entrepreneurial example. Every person that I promoted when I was an executive was already doing the job that I gave them the promotion for. It's the way it is in life. And for you to say, oh, I don't want to be, it's delusional to believe that I'm already a seven figure. No, it's not delusional. You need to be that in order to receive that, because you need to be that to hold the frequency. So if I think about some of the people, like, for example, there was a young girl that I had promoted. And the reason why she was perfect for the promotion is because she was already taking the calls the way she needed to. She was already making the recommendations that the job required. She was already coming into the office in the energy of already being that position, even though she didn't know that position existed. And that's why she got promoted. And so when you say, oh, it's not real, it's delusional, blah, 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 in order to be the seven figure, but no, decide that you're that shit now. Start acting like that. Start taking steps like that, because that is just the way it works in the world, not just with the quantum manifestation queens like us. It is the way life is. So whatever you desire, you want, whatever, like, even like your relationship, let's say you want a relationship with an amazing person. Are you that amazing person? Are you somebody you want to have a relationship with? Are you having the kind of conversations that you would want to have with that person? Are you living your life like you're ready for a relationship? Have you made space in your life for that person? do it now, and then it easily you collapse time and it happens. That's just the way it is in life.
Yes, 100%. That's how I met Kurt. I was like, I'm going to become the dopest, most magnetic person that I know so that I am irresistible, so that when my man shows up, he knows. And I was like, I'm going to do all the work on myself. I'm going to get my head right. I'm going to feel good in my skin. I'm going to love myself so that when he shows up, I don't need him, but he's a great addition to my life. And guess what happened? It was a fucking easy. It happened so quick. It happened in like 8 weeks. We've been together since. And I swear to you, I don't talk about him that much because I'm like, this is just a part of my life that I like to keep intimate, more intimate. We have the best fucking relationship that is so like, I'm like, if I told you some of the things, I'm like, dude, I show sneak peeks here and there, but I'm like, pinch me every single day, pinch me. Everyone deserves to have a love like this. Everyone deserves to be cherished and seen and all the things like this. But that's because I did it for myself first, right? That's because I do that for myself. I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, okay, right? Wait for him. I don't wait for anything. I don't wait for the clients. Don't wait for the money. So this is where you have to be it now. I don't wait for clients to pay me before I invest. What the heck? It doesn't work like that. You're waiting. You're going to be in the waiting game. Waiting, right? So like I think that's the thing that a lot of people get wrong is waiting for their external reality to change before they can do or feel something, but it's not how it works. That's not how it works, right? And I have everything that I've ever wanted in my life, like everything. And I know that it's only going to magnify, right? And when you realize that you don't need anything, that is when you attract everything. I don't need clients. I don't need money. I don't need love. I don't need attention. I don't need affection. I don't need it, but I want it. And I desire it, and I know it's coming because obviously it is, right? And that's the type of energy and identity that we get to operate from. And when we operate from that place, we're like, holy shit, that is how I fucking 4x my business. It was that shift that I made that you and I were talking about when we had rooftop drinks at the pool. I'm like, it was that. It was a fucking decision. It was one decision. I had to let go of one thing, choose the next, and hold it. And that's where a lot of people can't, they don't do it. They don't hold it. They have it for one moment and then they're like, no, it's holding the frequency.
Hold it and move in
Holding.
that frequency, right? You decided and you moved in that frequency. You decided I'm successful. This gets to work for me, and you moved. So, like, I have this. It's a 7-step like quantum manifestation tech, like process, right? And it's very simple. But the biggest piece is decide and move. Like those go together, because you hear so many people to like, oh, she told me to decide and I decided. And I'm like, well, bitch, did you move? Like, girl, I love you, but did you move? I love you so much, but did you take action in alignment with that? Because even if you like, let's say we all make a decision, put some decisions that you're making in the thing, right? So I decided to be $10 million me. I decided to be $10 million me. I had conversations on the rooftop with Sam about $10 million me. I decided. And what did I do? I moved in that energy. I told the world that that's what was happening. I told the world that that's what I was doing. I changed my business in some different ways, opened some things, closed some things, redirected some things, closed some containers that did not feel in alignment. Like I closed one where I knew there were some amazing people that were in it, but I was like, okay, I think this is complete, because there are some people that, now it's time for them to step up into the next container if that's the one for them. So that was like, not the right energy for $10 million me. It was a hard decision. It was an amazing container. I love every single one of them, and I hope you come to Quantum Queen. And it was something that I had to do. So I decided and move. Decide and move.
Yeah.
Yes, let go of mentors that aren't aligned. I've had to do that too. And it feels hard sometimes, or you feel like you've outgrown that space, or it's a space that you're being called to a different space. Whatever it is, decide and move. When you make the decision, make the move, and then that integrates and locks in that frequency at a certain level where it's like, oh, my brain is like, oh, okay, this is where we're going, let's
Yep.
go, right? Because we blame our subconscious for everything. And I was like, what if you knew your brain and your subconscious are on your side? You just need to move and show them the way you're going, and then keep making the same choices. Like you said, keep reminding him, oh, that's the way we used to think, we're thinking this now. Oh, that's the way we used to think, we're thinking this now. Building those new neural pathways, but it takes you to do that too. And so your brain and your subconscious aren't against you. In fact, they work for you. And when you can get them on your side, you will have so much amazing things unfold for you because you've got your mind, your body, your soul all aligned.
Yes. 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 The last thing I want to say before we like wrap off that's not related to business, because I feel like a lot of women want this. I've been playing with this with my body, like my actual physical appearance. And so I don't know if you knew this, but like I started my online business as a fitness and nutrition coach. And I was teaching people macros and how to lose weight and like tracking their weight, you know? I had no concept that you could apply manifestation to that then, okay? I had no clue. So even though I was losing weight and I was looking good, I fucking had like abs, okay? I still saw myself as fat. Crazy, okay? I still had the identity of being fat, though I was not. I was doing 10 pull-ups in a row. I was fucking lifting 300 pounds off the ground. I was squatting my body weight double. I was doing all these fucking insanely epic things. I still thought I was weak. I still thought I was fat. Tell me how that makes sense, okay? But that is the power of this work, right? My identity was so fucking messed up. It was so not true, right? That even though I created those results, guess what happened? I sabotaged everything. I fucking gained the weight back. I started eating like a whatever. And now I'm in the best place in my whole life with my body. I think I look the best, the healthiest, and I also put in the least amount of effort into my thoughts around what I do. Okay? I just go with the flow. I catch the wave. Oh, I want to go for a run. Oh, I want to do yoga. Oh, I want to dance. Oh, I want to lift, right? But it's because I've been changing my self-image. I've been changing my identity. When I close my eyes and I see myself as someone who is strong, who has a good amount of muscle tone, you know, is lean, but like has a little like curve, you know, like is good, like looks good and healthy and strong and fit. Like that's kind of the like, it's like sexy but athletic. That's kind of the vibe I've always thought is just the hottest, right? And like a sprinter body, right? But like with a little more meat. And so I'm like, okay. And then I'm like operating from that image in the mirror, right? I'm like, okay, I see her, I am her. Now, what did I do to get here? How did I think? How did I show up? What did I tell myself in the mirror? And that's what I've been doing. And I kid you not, like I look at my body, like we were in a hotel last week and I had a full length mirror, and I looked in the mirror and I was like, I said to Kurt, I was like, Kurt, is that what I look like? Because we're there, right? We traveled in the van. Is that what I really look like? He's like, what do you mean? And I was like I hadn't seen my body in the full length mirror in like probably a month, and my body is literally changed on a physical cellular level. Like I'm like, yo, look at this like definition. Like I didn't have this a few months ago. Now I've had this before, but I was working so fucking hard for it. I was in the gym for 2 hours a day, 6 days a week, starving myself, tracking every calorie. Now I'm not doing that at all. At all. I'm living in a van. I'm traveling. I'm having fun. I'm eating whatever I want. Like literally eating whatever I want. And somehow the weight is falling off, right? This to me shows that no amount of hard work can outdo self-image. No amount of hard work can outdo identity. No amount of hard work can outdo frequency. Manifest
100%.
fucking real. And when you realize this, when you fucking get this through your brainstem, whether it's your body, how you look, with the money, with the business, oh my God, it fucking works. But it requires practice.
It does.
it's like consistent practice. So if you need sticky notes as reminders, this is the work, baby. This is the work that works, and it works forever because you're changing who you're being, you're changing your neural pathways, you're changing your brain, you're changing how you see yourself, right? But it's not just like, oh my God, I'm gonna like sit back and manifest. No, there's like a lot
No,
of work required to get yourself to see yourself differently, but this is how everything changes.
it is. I love that story because so far I'm down 55
Yeah, girl,
pounds and
question it.
thank you. But you know what happened was it's funny because it's my birthday, so people have been sending me birthday messages, and one of the girls, she's like, "Oh my God, can you send me that story you had written about how you didn't want to take a full length picture?" It was in 2021, and I wouldn't take full length pictures because I used to be a size 2, and I, was like hot stuff, I thought. And I gained so much weight, gained so much weight. And I didn't want, I'm in this business where I have to be on screen and I have to be on camera and I have, all these things. But I would take the pictures all the way because I liked my boobs, but I would take it from here up.
Yep.
Thank you for the birthday message. And so I thought about it and I scrolled down, and it made me think of like what got me here where I am now. And one of the big things was I had to fall in love with myself, right? And the way I was. And I just said, okay, I'm going to take pictures, regardless of how puffy I looked or regardless of what the weight number was. I'm going to fall in love with myself the way I am. I'm not going to like work really hard or do these, extreme diets or anything. I'm not going to do it now. First, I'm going to fall in love with myself. And so that's what I did. And I started to talk to myself in the mirror, the self concept work, right? Just talk to myself in the mirror. I love you so much. Look at your tiny little waist, your flat little stomach. Like I still do this every day and talk to myself and have this story, and telling myself of the way life gets to be and how I get to look and how it gets to like roll. And so of course, as I started to love myself more, then ideas, and then a doctor came, and then I was able to, get on a plan and do some things that really helped to expedite the weight release. And I know I have 55 more pounds to go. I'm really excited. But I'm really excited. Like I can see the beauty. Like I see myself in the mirror and I see what it is. So you're right. No amount of forcing it and eating right, because you'll gain it all back, right? And everybody's like, oh, if you do this, you'll gain it all back. No, it really is a lifestyle change and an energetic change. So when you decide that I'm going to love myself, I'm going to talk to myself so lovingly and kindly, kind of like that rice experiment,
Yeah.
or when the guy was
Yeah.
talking to the waves of the water
Oh
and
yeah.
things like that,
Yep.
it makes a freaking difference.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah. It really does. How you talk to yourself, how you see yourself, all the things, and like finding the way that finding the way that it works for you. You know, you said
Mhm.
lifestyle. Like I used to preach this when I was teaching this primarily, but it's the same with business. If you are doing things right now in your business that you hate, that you don't like, you know? And to be honest, like I realized this for myself that like my biggest joy is speaking and podcasting. And so I was asking myself like, why am I making all these infographics? Why am I doing this? I don't even like it. I don't like sitting behind a computer. I don't like making them. I feel like I have to. What the heck? It's what everyone else does, you know? And that's how I started my business and grew it. But that's not me anymore. I've evolved. And so it's actually breaking the habit. Joe Dispenza, breaking the habit of being yourself, you know? Breaking the habits to actually continuously find what is in your highest joy and frequency and bliss and follow that and continue to do that because that all adds up to your frequency too, you know? So it's like, for me, I'm like, well, fuck it. I love podcasting. I love speaking. I'm a long form girly. I love to talk. So I've just been using IG for lives and that's it. And I'm like, okay, you know, okay, we're going with
Which
that.
is exactly what you
Yeah.
love. I love it. This is another example. I know we've got to go, but a quick example of doing it your own way. Like I decided I want to do a podcast again. And so I was like, okay. And I was like, what do I not like when I listen to podcasts? What do I not listen to? It was like the intro and the outro. I was like, fuck it, I'm not doing intro and outro. And I just decided to do what I love. You can do this with all areas of your business, your life, even like your body, whatever. Give
Yeah.
yourself the gift of you trusting your
Yes.
heart and trusting yourself, and
Yes.
move your ass and make
Yes.
millions.
And millions. Effie
Oh,
agrees. He's laying in bed right now.
hi.
want to say hi? You want to say hi?
He's like, nah,
Like,
no camera for me,
yeah,
mommy. No camera.
he like honestly does avoid the camera. It's hilarious. He's like, no, no.
Oh my God. Sam, would you tell everyone where they can find you? Like all of the things. Oh, this was the best.
I will. I definitely will. Happy birthday. I
Thank
love
you.
you.
Thank
You look
you.
so you're so glowing. Yeah, you guys can find me. I'm mostly on my podcast, which is the Sam Altieri Show. You can find the links on my IG. And then I hang out with my community on Instagram. Sometimes I'll share some content over there, but mostly I share all the things and all the learnings and the lessons and the teachings on my podcast. So definitely go like and subscribe. Like, holy shit. And yeah, we should definitely turn this into a podcast, babe. We'll put it on both of our podcasts because this was good. This was
We
so
should.
good.
I will download this and I'll send you the audio
Yeah,
because this needs to be on the podcast, and we need to like make appointments and be on each other's podcast too
I
because
know.
this is
I know.
just
Our
so
energies like
fun.
really work well together. It's amazing, and I love you tons. Um, and yeah, everyone go sign up for your class, the $10 million You or Me, and everyone come join and jump into the current. That's where all my magic is. We do this on steroids plus business strategy, which is amazing.
That's
We are fucking popping off. We got a special going on till Friday, so message me if you want info.
oh,
Um,
join the current. Join the current.
I love you.
Oh, I love you too. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here and celebrating my birthday with me. By the way, it's been like 10 years since I've worked on my birthday, and this doesn't even feel like work. This just feels like conversation with someone who's very special and who I really appreciate in my life. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I love all of you.
I love you guys.
Oh, we will have this on the podcast.
Yeah.
And until the next time we do this amazing conversation,
Yes. We'll see you
I
soon.
will see you.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.